You're listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with John Hicks.
Here with John Hicks, I'm Jennifer Perry. Thanks so much for joining us this week. And if you want more information on John and the entire team at J. Hagan Capital, if you have a retirement question for us too, just reach out to us on the website at retirementsolutionradio.com. Actually, John, we have another great way that we're going to pass on some information. It's time to get back to class, and you're going back to U of L later this month, talking about something we've been discussing here on the show recently, and that is really this integration with artificial intelligence in people's financial plans, how you can actually apply this to do better.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of those interesting things that have happened over time, as evolution is evolving, right? As things are changing. What we're learning, and we can see it every day, you have to go back. People forgot that Leonardo da Vinci was designing helicopters long before anyone ever knew of a combustion engine, right?
Right, yeah.
He was designing all these amazing things in like the 1400s. Don't quote me on the age. I can't remember if he was like 1200 or whenever it was. A long time ago is the point, right? And if you listen to Charles Orwell in 1984 in Animal Farm, and you see the people that have really good imagery in their mind of the future, it seems like it's all science fiction, does it not?
Yes.
And if you look now, though, of all the things that have evolved over all of the years, technology has been the most absolutely pervasive and explosive. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking all the way about, if you remember Y2K, the year 1999, when all of a sudden all the computers were going to blow up because it didn't understand how to make 2000 or whatever it was. And that was going to cause all these problems, and they had to correct all that stuff. But going all the way back from then to now, it is absolutely mind-numbing how much we have evolved with technology.
True.
If anyone has ever seen, and by the way, I don't love the look of them, but if anyone has ever sat inside of a Tesla vehicle, when you turn that sucker on and you see the dashboard display, when you see what that vehicle controls, and you can see how unbelievably nimble it is and how it operates, it is really amazing. And it's electric. Now, I remember, Jennifer, I hated even having an electric weed eater, because when you had an electric weed eater, you got about 5 good minutes of weed whacking before that sucker would just blow up on you, and or it wouldn't be charged anymore.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people still have that in our mind. Electric, it's a bunch of junk. I'd rather have my dually out there with its Hemi in it, so at least I know I can get from here to there. But the technology that's in cars is one piece of the puzzle, and I think a lot of people have focused on that. But the amazing thing today, Jennifer, is the technology they have in finances. They call it fintech. Fintech is really one of the most amazing things ever because of how much data we now have access to. When you think, really, it was around the 1950s that Harry Markowitz came up with the idea of the efficient frontiers. Now, I know that I just got all deeper
really
for a second.
Geeky, yep.
Hey, just bear with me here for a minute. But when you're talking about having a diversified portfolio, right, that is broadly diversified so you don't lose all your money, this is typically credited with Markowitz back in the 1950s. And what he did is he spent 20 years poring over data to find out what is the best way to be efficient with your portfolio. Because what we found out over almost all finances is that the more efficient we are, the better off we're going to be. And I'm going to explain that for a second. Now imagine, Jennifer, if someone out there had saved $500,000, and they go to their advisor, they're doing their computations, and they realize if I take 4% from that $500,000, that's about $20,000 a year. That's okay, but that's not really enough to live off of.
No.
Because that's just an arbitrary rule.
Yeah.
Now, what if you could be very efficient so that you were not going to be the richest person in the graveyard down the road, but that you could be so efficient that you could suck every single dollar over your entire life out of those accounts and potentially earn money on every single bit of it. You're the most efficient. You got to use every single dollar plus some that you ever saved. Now, that'd be very efficient.
Yeah.
And what if instead of pulling $20,000 a year from that $500,000 portfolio, what if you could pull $61,000 a year?
That's a much better retirement picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is one of those types of things that Harry Markowitz figured out in the 50s. How can we be the most efficient? This is why almost all old school financial planning is based on the efficient frontier, which is what your advisors are talking to you about. It's what you're reading about if you're doing this on your own. But now it's changed. Now we can use all of the data. Instead of spending 20 years trying to figure out what it says, machines can now understand all of this data, compute it, and find signals which basically is a little bit like having a crystal ball. They can find signals in the matter of nanoseconds.
Wow.
Now, what does that mean? It means that the new technology, if you're dealing with a firm that uses it correctly, can potentially do exactly what we've been talking about on the show for weeks, if not months, if not years. You can potentially have 50 to 100% more income from your same amount of savings.
Wow.
You could potentially retire 3 to 6 years earlier off the same amount of savings. You could potentially lower your tax bills in a way to where that last check, if you wanted it to, could bounce to the undertaker.
Nice.
Now, all of these are highfalutin ways, and all of these are things that we can utilize by being more efficient with our savings. And the cool thing about that is if our savings are very efficient, then that means the rest of our money that we have, we can spend it on whatever we want.
How cool.
So once they open up the floodgates and we can actually travel again, we can actually spend that money knowing that, hey, we're good. We're very efficient with the usage of our money. We can do whatever we want. It doesn't mean being frugal. It doesn't mean pinching your pennies. It means that the new modern technology allows us to do exactly those things. Because that is what makes it so unique and amazing. And this will absolutely revolutionize all retirements going forward if you're looking for that, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're talking to people, what we want to know is, what do they actually want to accomplish? But see, most people, Jennifer, they've been trained, they just got to make a bunch of compromises. Well, if $20,000 isn't enough to live off of, I guess you just got to work a little longer. I guess you just can't have that nice car that you wanted. No. The new technologies allow us to look right through those things and be much more efficient. So this is very amazing to me. And there's all kinds of stuff that's going to come down the pipeline in the next months, just the next several months, that's going to be very changing for most people's lives. This is why we're actually putting this into a live seminar at U of L again. The amazing depth of information that we now have on how this can really benefit our lives with every part, not just of our finances, but every part of our lives, is really amazing. Do you know how they figured out the vaccine information for the COVID stuff, Jennifer?
Oh, I have no idea. And they did it so quickly.
They had about 13 major data source computers, not only with the government, with all of the major companies, Moderna, Pfizer, Worldwide Technologies, which is based out of St. Louis, and one of my best friends is their chief technology officer. They attached all these computers together and they mined the data. Then they used artificial intelligence, basically a machine looking in and finding how can they use the technologies we already have to create this so much faster. That's why the previous president called this Operation Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Because it was amazing once you get that data and once it could be analyzed, how quickly you could bring it to market. And that's exactly what they did. Now, the current administration is doing a good job trying to get these things rolled out. Okay, that's great and wonderful. But this all happened last year when all these things were happening, because we could actually not only use that data, but exploit it to get what we wanted out of it. That can be used in all parts of our life, but we have to seek it out. It's not going to seek us out. We have to go find those plans.
But it's amazing what's possible today. And again, artificial intelligence, the technology piece of this, can be game-changing when it comes to how you're building your retirement portfolio. So if you want to learn more with John on this particular topic, we're going to talk about this at our April sessions at the U of L Shelby campus. All you have to do to get started with us, drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
Like what you hear? Be sure to hit the subscribe button. And thanks for listening to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. J. Hagan Capital is a registered investment advisor. To find out if John Hicks is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal advice. Annuity guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products and annuities offered through John Hicks. Kentucky Insurance License Number 998827.